Fine. So, good afternoon once again. I think we were discussing this time versus congestion window graph for the TCP connection. So, we have already discussed about how the threshold value is calculated and what is a slow start. So, just quickly look at this is a slow start. Okay, slow start because how a fresh connection starts in each round, one MSS. So starting from one MSS, then after receiving the acknowledgement for that one segment, then the window is increased by one. So the next round, the window will become two. So now it can send two segments. After receiving the acknowledgement for these two segments, then the window will be increased to four segments. So you can say per acknowledgement one uh, per acknowledgement one MSS window is increased, assuming that each segment there is acknowledgement received for the each segment, right? So then this is a congestion avoidance phase that also we have already discussed. So I will not repeat unnecessarily wasting time. This is congestion, sorry, avoidance, right? Okay. So now next what we have discussed that okay at this point when my window in the 8th transmission round window congestion window was 12 MSS. Here it is 12 MSS means 12 segments it can send provided that these 12 segments data is available from the application side. If it is available then it will say at this point let us say one of the segments timeout occur. So that because once the timeout occur and the acknowledgement is not received corresponding to that segment, that's the indication to the TCP sender that one packet is or one segment is lost. So after that, the new in the next round, the congestion window it makes as a 1 MSS. So my congestion window, new congestion window is 1 MSS, right? Or you can say, other words, it enters again into the slow start phase. So again, the same process will start. So this is slow start. Means now, now how long my slow start will continue? That will be that is decided by the slow start threshold value. And slow start threshold value is calculated based on this number. Means at the time of the timeout occur, that time the whatever the window size is there, if we divide that window size congestion window divide by 2, this will be my new threshold value or slow start threshold value. So window was that times 12. So the new threshold value is 6. So now this is 6. So new slow start threshold value is 6 here. So up to the 6 it will continue as in a slow start mode, and beyond the slow start, sorry, after that it enter into the congestion avoidance. This is a basic protocol, TCP, you can say the first variant of the TCP that is called as a TCP Tahoe, right? As I mentioned, there are several variants of TCP in the literature you can find. They are 20 plus, but okay, some of them we'll discuss in a later section of next lecture, maybe in the next lecture. One immediately we'll discuss, that is the TCP Reno. You can see now how the Reno is different from Tahoe. Tahoe behavior, that's a blue line, you understood, I think, right? So now we'll see the Reno behavior. So where the Reno makes the difference. Slow start phase is same. The Reno differentiate the difference in between the Reno and Tahoe can be we can understand by this example. So see here. Suppose this is the sender and this is the receiver. Okay, connection, everything has been already established. So I am assuming that after that it starts sending the segments. So let us say this segment is successfully received. So okay, I am just using the sequence number, suppose 100, starting from 100, right? So this is received and corresponding acknowledgement have been sent. So ACK, what will be the ACK? ACK 101. Yes, no, not sorry, 101. ACK, let us say 120 means the data in this segment. So what sequence numbers actually have been sent? Data bytes 100 to 119. Right, that's why it is sending the acknowledgement 120, indicating that I'm expecting next byte as 120 or next segment which is starting from 120 sequence number. Okay, fine. After that, let us say I'm considering that okay, my congestion window is sufficient to send these many packets. So let us say next packet it send with the starting definitely sequence number 120, then say for example, and this 120 segment is somewhere lost, it is not reached to the receiver. Then after that it send 140, 160, 180, right? These three segments have been there. So what will happen means once this receiver will receive this segment with the sequence number 140, what action will be taken by the sender? What will be the reply from the receiver? Anyone?
ACK 120 is sent, sir.
ACK 120 it will send, correct. So it will send ACK 120 with respect to this. So it will say, because it's a gap is detected, so it will send the what are the in order next byte is expected in that it will send. Here also it will do the same thing, ACK 120. Here also it will do the same thing, ACK 120. Now, so now you see this packet timer is running, okay, based on the timeout value which we have understood calculate using the Jacobson formula. Let us say this timeout is something large timeout. So this timer is running for this. So before this timeout event occurs, the sender cannot retransmit the packet. Which packet? Packet number 120. But you can see here, these three duplicate ACKs which it received by the sender, that what it indicates to the sender. It indicates to the sender that okay, there is a packet which is starting from sequence number 120 was not delivered at the receiver. After that 140 sequence number starting, that packet is delivered and corresponding acknowledgement. You can say this is basically acknowledging that okay, one packet out of order I have received. This acknowledgement is also acknowledging that okay, one more packet which is out of order sequence that is received by the receiver. The third is also indicating this thing. So that means three segments might have been received, but these three segments are not in order. They are out of order. So Renault says that okay, why should we wait? Because usually this timer value is, because the way it is calculated average RTT, you know, already it has a you can say, because the fluctuating value of RTT, the average you are calculating, that is not giving me the correct estimate of the current RTT. So it's a kind of approximation only, and we are somehow calculating based on some deviation difference in the RTT samples. We come up with some timeout value, which is maybe most of the time it very large value. No? So it is too late that okay, we are waiting for the timeout to occur and then retransmit. You can understand that okay, it can affect the performance, because suppose after this now this the window cannot be slide because of it is entire window is exhausted, then sender simply has to wait for the timeout to occur and then retransmit the packet and then getting the acknowledgement, and then it can open the window more and then sending more data. So due to that throughput, or you can say the TCP connection performance severely impact because of this delayed timeout occurring, right? So the improvisation done by the researchers is that they said that okay, if you receive the 3 duplicate ACK, that is a good enough to assume that okay, this packet, the corresponding to that packet, you receive the 3 duplicate ACK, that packet might have lost. So even we can take a call before timeout occur, we can take a call to retransmit that packet, because this is a good enough, because what it indicates, okay, because after this packet, after this 120 sequence number packet, 3 more packet have been delivered at the receiver. So that means it cannot be delayed further, means that means it has been definitely dropped somewhere. maybe a burst has come and then some of the router queue overflow and then packet might have dropped. That may be the reason. It's a some transient congestion occur. Sudden burst has come and then buffer have no space that time. So that's why that packet was dropped. Because after that it is going very, I'm sending packets, all subsequent packets, I'm getting the acknowledgement. So that, and 3 packet is a good enough number to say that yes, now this 120 sequence number packet is not going to be delivered and we should not wait for the timeout. It can be retransmitted here itself. So the sequence number 120 packet, it will transmit here itself. This is called, this algorithm, which is called as a fast retransmit. So this is because you are doing the retransmission before the timeout occurs. So that's why it's a fast retransmit. And another thing is also I should not enter after, because what happened, packet loss occur, then the basic TCP says that okay, you should enter into the slow start and then again ramp up to the 1, 2, 4, 8 like that. But it says that okay, by network congestion is not much. Why? What is the justification for that? Because these packets are still received by the receiver. All the packets which I have sent subsequent to this lost packet, these packets have been successfully received by the receiver. That means network is not congested. So I should not be very conservative and entering into the slow start. I can start from some higher value. So that concept is called as a fast recovery. So you should not enter into the slow start. You can start from some higher value. So that's why you can see the Renault says that once a packet loss is detected by the 3 duplicate ACK. This is 3 duplicate ACK. A packet loss is detected by 3 duplicate ACKs. Then one thing is that you can retransmit the packet immediately after receiving the 3 duplicate ACK, and your starting point is not the slow start, means 1 MSS. You should start from some higher number, and that higher number is equivalent to the slow start threshold value. Slow start threshold value calculation formula is same, right? So suppose here, suppose this loss is detected by, for example, not by timeout. This loss is detected by 3 duplicate ACK. Then my slow start threshold value will be, in this case also, it will be 12 by 2. That will be 6 MSS, right? So you should directly enter into the congestion avoidance phase. They say that okay, if a packet loss is detected by the 3 duplicate ACK, then the TCP connection can enter into the not in the slow start, it can enter into the congestion avoidance phase. One important thing is that, so avoidance phase means you can start from the threshold value, so 6 onwards. But it says that okay, after that you add 3 MSS into this your congestion window. So your congestion window will be 6 plus the new congestion window after this detecting a packet loss using the 3 duplicate ACK. It is 6 plus 3 MSS. Why 3 MSS? Anybody want to guess? Why it is 3 MSS? It is because of these 3 packets have been received. Na? So say okay, these packets have received, so I should slide my window by 3. So that's why it is adding 3 more MSS. So my new window will be 9 MSS. That's why you are seeing here in a Renault 6 plus basically it is 9.3. So you start from here actually. In the next round, you make your congestion window as a 9 MSS in this case, right? And then you go in, means every round you increase your congestion window by 1 MSS, right? And that already I explained that okay, in one round means suppose in one round you are sending 10 segments. So per segment basically 1 by 10th. So 1 by 10th of the MSS you per ACK which you receive, you increase your window 1 by 10 of MSS, right? Assuming that all segments of equal size, right? So you can say per ACK. So per ACK window increase in the congestion avoidance phase, window increase in congestion avoidance phase is this much, assuming that 10 packets are there in the so per packet, so you are sending increasing your window by 1 by 10 MSS. Here one more assumption is there. Okay, assuming that you are getting acknowledgement for each segment actually, right? So that's why every segment you receive, increase your window by 1 by 10 of MSS. Then next acknowledgement receive, then 1 by 10 MSS. So in the entire, you can say RTT duration, you will be able to increase your window 10 times. So it will be equal to 1 MSS. Correct? So this gives a better you can say throughput for the TCP, because the Tahoe is so basically Tahoe Reno difference is that Reno differentiate the packet loss. Packet in a Reno, packet loss can be detected by the two events. One is 3 duplicate ACK and other is the timeout. In Reno also it may be possible, okay, maybe these 3 packets you have sent and their acknowledgement also not arrived, and by the time timeout occur, then you will definitely enter into the slow start phase only, because that indicates more severe congestion state. So Reno basically differentiate between the mild congestion and the severe congestion kind of thing. Mild congestion means 3 duplicate ACK, you can do the fast retransmit and fast recovery you can do. Severe congestion means the packet loss event is detected by the timeout event. So then you enter into the slow start phase, make your next round congestion window as a 1 MSS, and then complete the slow start and then transit into the congestion avoidance phase. Okay. So is there any question at this point? Should I check your chat window? Yes, anybody? Or can we move to the next?
So,
Yeah.
sir, if we are in fast recovery phase and we still keep getting duplicate ACKs, so
Yeah.
in that case, our congestion window will be incremented by MSS, or will it be incremented by MSS by CWND?
Okay. So to answer this question, actually, your question is good question. So I will explain this phase diagram, right? So what we understood, so your answer will be there. I will indicate also where is your answer. So what we understood, the TCP connection have the 3 phases: slow start, we know that, congestion avoidance, and third is a fast recovery. Now we'll see this how the transition happens between these 3 states. You know that initially my connection is in a slow start phase, very fresh connection start from the slow start, and initial threshold value is 64 KB. In most of the implementation it is there. So means, and initial window is a 1 MSS. As it is, so we'll see that how the slow start to congestion avoidance, when it will transit. So when the congestion window because in slow start the sender will increase the congestion window after receiving acknowledgements from the receiver. So once its congestion window crosses the threshold value, then it will transit from slow start to congestion avoidance phase. Okay, that's perfect. And similarly, from the congestion avoidance to slow start, when it will enter into the how the transition from the congestion avoidance to the slow start will happen, when the timeout event will occur. Means for some packet for which acknowledgement is not received and its timeout occur, then means it will set the threshold value as a current congestion window, half of the current congestion window, and make the congestion window as a 1 MSS, and it will retransmit the missing segment and then enter into the slow start, and then again it will there in the slow start for some time, and once its new congestion window crosses the threshold value, then it will enter into the avoidance. Now we'll see the transition between the congestion avoidance and the fast recovery. So now you are in a congestion avoidance phase, means in every, so you can see here, this is every new ACK you receive, your new congestion window is congestion window plus MSS into MSS divided by congestion window. So basically you are per ACK, you are in that proportion, you are increasing, so that in entire window you can your total increase is not more than 1 MSS. Okay, and transmit the new segment. It can transmit the new segment as per allowed either by the congestion window or the flow control window, that is receive window we call as, or advertise window also it is called. Now in this state, if you are receiving any duplicate ACK, that like in this, suppose you are in a congestion avoidance phase and you are receiving duplicate ACK, then you keep count the duplicate ACKs. Once your duplicate ACK count becomes 3, then you switch from the congestion avoidance to fast recovery phase. So you set your threshold value as a half of the current congestion window, and as I explained that, okay, the new congestion window will be the threshold value plus 3 MSS. I already gave the reason for the why the 3 MSS is there. That is for the 3 duplicate ACK which have been received, because these 3 packet actually have been received. So you are supposed to slide your window by 3 MSS. And then you retransmit the missing segment, because 3 duplicate ACK is an indication to that the packet might have lost, for which corresponding to that the duplicate ACKs are received. So now at this, your question is actually here. You are in the fast recovery phase and you are receiving still duplicate ACK, because it may be possible you might have sent 4 or 5 packets after that, after the packet which is lost. So for once 3 duplicate ACK you received corresponding to the 3 segments, then you enter into the fast recovery, you did the retransmission, set the new threshold value, congestion window, all. But subsequent packets which have been sent, 4th packet, 5th packet, corresponding to that also, you might receive the duplicate ACK, because you retransmitted, but the retransmitted packet is still not reached to the destination. So that's why till that you will get 4th and 5th subsequent duplicate ACKs. So you continue increase your window by 1 MSS, right? And be there in a fast recovery. When you will be transit from the fast recovery to the congestion avoidance, when you are receiving a new acknowledgement, means your retransmitted packet is received by the receiver, then you will get a new acknowledgement from receiver, right? So then you transit to the avoidance phase, and in avoidance phase your congestion window will be same, because no change in the congestion window, whatever equal to the threshold value only. So this is a fast recovery to congestion avoidance phase transition happens. Now the transition between the slow start and the fast recovery is from the fast recovery to slow start, it can go if timeout occurs. So slow start, any TCP connection enter into the slow start when timeout occurs, either in the congestion avoidance state or in the fast recovery state. Wherever timeout occurs, you are going to the slow start and making your new congestion window as a 1 only, and threshold value is half of the current congestion window. And if you are receiving the 3 duplicate ACK either in the slow start phase or the congestion avoidance phase, you can see here this transition and this transition, then you are entering into the fast recovery. Okay. So did you get your answer?
Sir, in the fast recovery phase, when we are getting duplicate ACKs, so at that time we are increasing our congestion window exponentially, right? Because it is CWND plus MSS.
Not exponentially, 1 MSS only, no?
Yeah, but for every duplicate ACK, we are increasing it.
So every duplicate ACK says that a 1 segment is received.
Yeah, so which means we are doubling it, right? For every ACK.
No, not doubling. Suppose my current congestion window is, so doubling means in a 1 RTT. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, and when we get new ACK, we go to congestion avoidance phase where we are increasing it linearly. So why is this? So why is this the case? Because new ACK means that there is definitely no congestion. So shouldn't we increase it exponentially?
New ACK means there is definitely no congestion, but where your connection is running, at a half of the point where the congestion was occurred in the last round, right? You are operating in this region, the region which is you can say from suppose when the last packet was dropped, that time window was W, now window is W by 2. So you are operating in this region. So this region is vulnerable to, let us say, drop. So you are precautionarily increasing. Suddenly you will increase. It may be possible that, okay, again new drop will occur. So here you are taking precaution, means only 1 MSS per you are increasing per round trip time. This is a safe region. From here you can quickly ramp up to the here, right? So that's why we say 1, 2, 4. We just make double every round. But congestion avoidance, that's the idea, that's the reason for that, okay? Because we don't know in this region anytime drop can occur. So if sudden increase may drop multiple packets, so that will be more severely impact the performance of the TCP. So if I am just going slowly means very taking by precaution means in terms of just increment is very less, right? So that will at least reduce my damage in terms of number of packet loss. That's the idea. Or my rate is basically my rate is slow. I want to reduce the rate because in this region, if I'm making higher rate I'm sending, anytime due to a sudden burst, the packet might be dropped. So the chances of probability of packet dropping in this region is more. So I'm just going slowly. Slow increment is there. That's the reason.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's means if you understood everything, I think let us see that okay how much we understood, right? So I'm just taking one example, and okay. So yeah, not this example. I think next example. Yeah, this example we'll take it. Okay. So this is the time versus congestion window graph for the TCP. Now I think you are familiar with all these lines. How these so if I quickly ask that a few questions, so you try to answer these questions, so that will tell me exactly how much or how much I could convey to you in a proper manner. So first question is identify the intervals of time when TCP slow start is operating in this plot. So you can tell in terms of the round. These are the transmission rounds. From which round to which round the TCP connection is operating at us in a slow start mode. Yes, anyone can?
Sir?
Ah.
So from 1 to 6, from 7 to 11, and from
1 to 6. So this portion, right? You're
yes,
absolutely right. This one and this one,
yes,
right? Good.
yes.
So these three portions are there. Okay, so I'm marking red, marking in graph. Okay, now I have to change the color. Okay, identify the intervals of time when TCP congestion avoidance is operating. Okay, so avoidance, I think you can find out on behalf of you. I am doing that. So these three regions are avoidance, where linear increase is there, right? So this green is marking is avoidance. What is the threshold, slow start threshold value between transmission round 7 to 10? What is the slow start threshold value? Yes. So 7 means this one. So the drop occurred here. So up to this point, how much slow start value? Okay, that cannot be figured out from this graph. Yeah. Somebody asked you, say in a round 6, what is the slow start threshold value? So till round 6, from this graph we cannot identify that, right? Because my connection is not entering till round 6. The connection is in the slow start phase only. I don't know how long it will go, right? So that's why we cannot figure out from this graph between 0 to 6. But yeah, certainly 7 to 10, it is half of this value. So this is 32. So the threshold value is 16 MSS, because the window is given in segments. Okay, what is the congestion window value at transmission round 11? Congestion window value. So 11 is this. So what is my CWND?
16.
Huh?
Sir, 16.
Congestion window value 16. Yes, yes, right. Okay, so this is 16 MSS. It is from here. Okay, how many segments have been sent till the transmission round 11, including the 11th transmission round? How many segments have been sent? starting from the start, first round onwards till 11. Yes. Anyone wants to respond?
Sir, I think 94.
How much?
Sir, I think 94.
I think 94. Why you think first of all?
Sir, like I
You,
calculated.
acha,
Like,
dekho. How did you calculate? See, one segment was sent here, right? Two segments
yes.
were sent here. We are assuming that okay, whatever the window size is there, that time that much of data has been sent, because window size doesn't means that okay means that this much of data have been sent. That assumption we have to take to calculate the value. Got my point? Because one thing is that TCP sender window allows to send this much of data, but actually how much data is sent, it depends upon how much data was available to that. So actually in a practical sense, you should understand this point. Window size is 2 doesn't mean that okay 2 has been sent, but it is written or maybe somewhere in the assumption say assume that okay you have a sufficient data to send all the time, then you can uh, easily take this assumption that yes these many of my segments have been sent. Okay, so this is 4. Here how much it has sent? 8. Here how much it has sent? 16. And here 32. And then timeout occurs. So here 1, 2, again 4 and 8 until this round, including this round. In this round it has sent how much? 16 again. This is a 11th transmission. So just you have to add all these things. I think you have done this only. If it is coming 94, then it is correct. So you have to add all these blue numbers. So basically add blue numbers. Okay. Next, last question. Identify the intervals of time when TCP fast read transmission and fast recovery is used. Fast retransmission and fast recovery. Which interval? So this is my fast recovery point basically. I have not entered into the, you say that this slow start, starting from the threshold value only. So when the packet loss was occur, that is congestion window was 20 that time. So my new threshold value is 10 and I'm starting from this point onwards. So this is basically fast recovery. So this is fast recovery, and whenever fast recovery is there, basically fast retransmission automatically happens, right? Retransmission. Okay, now let me ask you one more question. Uh, so anyway, it's a simple question, but yeah. So can you identify the so how many drops are there in this plot? How many packets? Assuming that okay means okay one packet drop at a time. That case, multiple packet also can drop, but let us assume one packet at a time drop. So how many times? How many packets might have dropped? One here, and one here. Out of these three packet drops, how these three drops have been detected? Which one is detected by timeout? Which one is detected by 3 duplicate ACK?
Sir,
Hmm.
the first and third one were detected by timeout.
This is timeout, absolutely correct. This is timeout, and this is detected by 3 duplicate ACK. Correct? Okay. Okay, so I think we understood all these concepts. Now, if you see that how that this TCP behavior is like that. So just to one more graph is here available. Again, it is you can say time or transmission round versus congestion window. So here you can see slow start. This is a slow start phase. What is this indicating? It is indicating basically timeout, right? Because at this moment I am not sending anything and my window is not increasing because the entire window is exhausted and I'm waiting for some acknowledgement to occur so that the window can be slide and then the new packet can be sent. So this is a timeout. This also indicates the timeout. And then here again it timeout occur and then basically enter into the slow start, this congestion avoidance. Here 3 duplicate ACKs have been received. So that's why I enter into the fast recovery and so on. So this is the way how a typical TCP time versus congestion window plot works. This you can observe in the Wireshark also. In one of the lab we'll do, although you can try before that also. But one lab we'll do on the Wireshark again to understanding the behavior of the TCP, calculating throughput, and how the TCP connection progress and all these things. So same thing we'll observe there also. Okay, so this graph is again for the TCP behavior. So, but here what is you can say thing is all the slow start phase is you can say removed or eliminated, assuming that okay all the drops are identified by the 3 duplicate ACK and initial slow start is also so because that happens only one time only. Okay, so somewhere here it might have happened here initial slow start and then after that enter into this. So this is we call as a AIMD behavior. Basically, we are here in this phase additively increasing. Additive increase happen until the packet drop occur and then we'll decrease multiplicative because half by 0.5 factor we decrease, right? And here additive increase is there. So that's why this algorithm, TCP congestion control algorithm is called as a AIMD, additive increase, multiplicative decrease, right? And it is not always necessary that, okay, suppose, so here the drop was occur, then the drop was occur maybe somewhere at a higher point when the congestion window was more, then again here itself it occur. You can easily understand why it could have happened because the network state is changing all the time. So possibly why this point is lower than this point, because at this moment, suppose this connection is TCP connection is passing through the same set of links. Let us say this is a bottleneck link. So I'm talking about this connection, right? Now at this time, that is time T1, that time let us assume that okay, only this connection was there. There was no other traffic was there. But after some time T2, my packet drop occur even at a lower sending rate itself, right? So that means he at this time T2, T1 there was only one connection was there and T2 maybe from this bottleneck link maybe one more connection is passing, or you can say some other traffic also exists. So other traffic that can be UDP traffic or another TCP connection, whatever. So due to that at a different point in time my packet drop event occurs at a different congestion window level, right? So that's why these are means up and down. If you assume that okay, fine, there is no other connection is there, and the bandwidth is also same, bandwidth is also not changed, right? So this is a bottleneck link, and my connection is passing through this TCP connection traffic is going. So in that case, there is no other. Let's say this is a 10 Mbps link is there, no other traffic is there. Then definitely all the time my drop will occur when my window is near to W, exactly W. Also theoretically we can say. And once the drop is detected, then I will enter into the fast recovery mode as the drops have been identified by the 3 duplicate ACK, right? The W by 2. So all the time my window is fluctuating from W to W by 2. Okay, assuming that that's the only traffic is there, so I can safely assume that. So this is the behavior of the TCP. So now if I want to calculate the average throughput of a TCP connection. So W is something we can assume if the single connection is there. Okay, W means actually maximum it is a 10 Mbps rate I am able to send when the maximum possible window in this connection. Once as my window increases more than the 10 Mbps or my sending rate increases more than the 10 Mbps, then definitely I am facing a drop. And this is the case when I also assume that okay, there is no buffers are there here. No buffers available. No buffers are there. So then exactly if the sending rate is more than the link capacity, then the next packet immediately, whatever the next packet is sent at that time, that will be dropped, right? So it will be giving, so average throughput if I calculate, then I say first I need to calculate my average window, how it is changing. So my average window is what? W plus W by 2 divide by 2. This is average window. So it will become 3W by 4. W you can say either it is in a bytes or it is in a segments, whichever unit, any unit can be given. So 3W by 4 is my average window. Now, if average window means the window amount of packet I can send, means this is my average window which I am sending for this connection. And to calculate the throughput, what I have to do? So the throughput formula is average window, that is 3W by 4 divided by RTT. Now, RTT is not going to be fixed RTT, right? Although from this graph it looks like okay, in the same amount of time it reaches again from W2 to W by 2 to W. This looks same, but there's a very idealistic case. In real, actually, these time slots are not same. It may take n number of different number of RTT from reaching from W by 2 to W. Anyway, can you tell me how much time it will take from in terms of RTT from W by 2 to W? Again, it will go to W by 2 WT. Let us say W is giving me that W segments. So my window size I am showing in the segments. So how many RTT will it take to reach from W by 2 to W in terms of RTT? Yes. Anybody want to answer?
One RTT if we are going
No,
exponential.
no. See, this is a congestion avoidance phase. Am I right? Am I right
Yes,
or wrong?
yes,
Anna?
sir.
So in congestion avoidance phase, per RTT, one MSS is the one segment is the increment. Now you tell me how many RTT it will take.
W by 2 RTT.
W by 2 RTT, correct. W by 2 RTT it will take to reach from W by 2 to W segments window size, right? Now, as I said, because this time is cannot be same for this segment because my RTT is also varying. That we already know that okay, every packet maybe you are getting a different RTT, and that's the reason why we calculate average RTT. So we'll say this formula is not correct because in a real sense, because this RTT is not a fixed constant. If I say constant RTT, okay, then this formula is perfect. But if I say RTT is not constant, then I have to take average RTT. So the throughput formula will be 3W by 4 into average RTT, or I say RTT average. This is my means a very um, superficial, not superficial I should say, but yeah, intuitive formula for the throughput means without much detail, because here a lot of assumptions are there, right? So always it is my W and W by 2 is always same. If the window sizes are different, mean W1, W2, W3, W4, then more complicated. But just to understand the what is a typical throughput ATCP connection can give. So a rough estimate or a near approximate estimate we can get from this formula. So it will be, so you can say it will be 0.75 W by our average RTT. It will be there, right? So means whatever the maximum capacity is there, it is 75% utilization can happen. Entire link. Suppose I say I have a one link, and here I connect one host H1. Here I connect host H2, and say this is a 10 Mbps link, and TCP connection is suppose a long time TCP connection I am running. So what is the throughput I will get? So I will never reach to the 10 Mbps according to this TCP, the way the TCP, because I am always fluctuating. My sending rate is fluctuating between W to W by 2 at a regular interval, right? So here, one RTT I will send W, then W by 2 plus 1, then W by 2 plus 2, and so on like that I will increasing, and then again decreasing to W by 2. So largely I can say my sending rate is fluctuating between W to W by 2. So that's why I will not be able to utilize the link 100%. My maximum link utilization can go with the 75% only. So now the question, and this is also you consider that, okay, we have assumed that there is no buffer here. That's why exactly at W is the, you can say, equal to roughly 10 Mbps. So exactly when a 10 Mbps rate achieved, then the packet drop occurs. So in that case, my assumption is no buffer is there. Now I'm giving one exercise to you. Please listen carefully. Huh? If you are not solving this exercise, then this exercise I will give in an exam, some of the exam, right? So the exercise is this. You have to tell me, here I have not considered buffer. If I consider the buffer, that routers have the buffer, and that's a practical scenario, routers have the buffer. If in case, or in a buffer availability case, which is the practical thing, in buffer availability situation, forget about the size of the buffer. Okay, let's say sufficient size of buffer is there. Can we achieve the 100%? Can a TCP connection get 100% utilization of the link? With buffer availability situation, can TCP connection saturate the link? So the link, if I'm talking, then I'm talking about a bottleneck link in this case. Like, so what is your the first cut answer? Means just to whatever you have understood so far based on that. Can a TCP connection saturate the link if, let us say, sufficient amount of buffer is available at router?
No, sir.
No. Reason?
Sir, because like when we are trying to saturate the link, then the transmission at all times should be exactly 10 Mbps. So when the transmission is 10 Mbps, so the TCP protocol will try to make it 1 MSS higher. So as soon as it makes 1 MSS higher, so the buffer will get filled. And when the buffer gets filled, packet drop starts, and then it has to again.
No. Okay, so buffer get filled means, okay, buffer will not overflow that way. The extra packet can go into the buffer. Suppose your current rate is 10 Mbps, and next round you increase plus 1 MSS. So now the additional amount of data will be there in the buffer, right? It is not dropped actually.
Yes, sir.
Anna?
Sir, but like, but still, like the extra amount, like for example, let's say it is 10.1 Mbps. So 10 Mbps is transferred, but 0.1 Mbps will keep getting stored.
Your observation is perfect, is correct. But the only thing is that, okay, what counter I am doing is, you are looking from the different perspective, and that is correct actually. Ultimately, that is the answer is that it will not get it. It will not able to saturate, and you are looking this from a different perspective. But I am saying that because your point is that, okay, anything more than the 10 Mbps that will be dropped, but that is not correct, because if the buffer is available, if the buffer is not there, then it will definitely drop. But if the buffer is available, then definitely it will be stay in the buffer. Maybe some delay will be there. So if I say, let me more precisely, I should tell, let us say my buffer size is sufficient such that this means I can send 2W. Till 2W, my drop is not occurring. W amount of packets I can, the link can transmit because that's a link capacity, and W amount of packet can reside in the buffer at any time. So means eventually my drop will occur after 2W. So my half of this and after that 2W, just I exceed with the 2W, then drop will occur. So my reduction will be what? 2W by 2, so W. Now what is my average window? Average window will be 2W plus W by 2. So it is 3W by 2. And if I divide by RTT, then the throughput will be what? So 1.5 into W divided by RTT. So you see that, and W is the maximum capacity of the W is equivalent to the maximum capacity of the link. So I am getting 150% link utilization. 150% link utilization, isn't it? Now tell me, where is the catch? It cannot be 150%. You can simply say that, sir, it is wrong. Because how can on a 10 Mbps link I can get a 15 Mbps throughput?
Sir, the RTT average would increase.
Yes, this RTT average here, whatever RTT average is there in the case when the no buffer is there, and here the RTT average when the my buffer size is equivalent to W, that is a difference. You can say almost double. So ultimately double. Then if this is a double of this, then what happen? 0.75 or maybe slightly better. So even whatever size of buffer you keep it on the routers, you cannot get maximum throughput equivalent, or you cannot utilize the link completely by a TCP, or a TCP connection cannot utilize the bandwidth completely. So this is the catch actually, because if you look at very superficially, then it look like, okay, my buffer is there, fine, buffer is there, all the outstanding data can be there in the buffer. So no drop is there. No drop means it's 100%. I can nothing is dropped, so I can send it at that rate. But whatever finite size buffer is there, right? Even you say that, okay, your packet never drops, but still you cannot get the utilization maximum, because the RTT is going to be increased. Okay, so I think we can stop here. Next, what we'll do, I will tell you that exactly why AIMD is used actually. Additive increase, multiplicative decrease, why it has been used in the TCP. There may be 4 options, like it could have been AIAD, additive increase and additive decrease, multiplicative increase and multiplicative decrease, multiplicative increase and additive decrease. So why all these 3 combinations have not been tried out and only AIMD is tried out? I hope you understood. AIMD means in the congestion avoidance phase, I am increasing additively, and when the loss detected, then decrease multiplicatively. My multiplicative factor is 0.5. Okay, that can be, okay, it can vary, it can be 0.5, it can be 0.7, 0.3, whatever. But the behavior of the algorithm is AIMD. That's why I'm getting this kind of thing, zigzag kind of thing. So in the next class, we will understand, that's tomorrow's class. We'll see that why this AIMD have been chosen by the person who has, or the team who has designed the TCP. Why not this other combination of that? This we will understand, and then we'll do other subsequent things like talk about the fairness of TCP and throughput calculation in terms of more parameters. Right now, just window size is a parameter and the RTT is a parameter. Let us say I consider loss rate also. Then in terms of the loss rate, what will be the throughput? So that formula also will derive in the next class, tomorrow's class. Thank you. So let me know if you have any quick question.
Sir, in this exercise,